Hey, what's up, guys? It's Au5. I've been making bass music for like 12 years, and I've released like 200 songs since then. And I really enjoy doing it, but it also has its challenges. It still does, after all this time, is challenging. Partly, that's the allure of it for me. It's like returning to the beginner's mind makes me feel a sense of purpose. If I can set up some sort of challenge for myself and then achieve that, it doesn't get boring. It stays fun. There also are a lot of times where I have an idea in my head that I really feel strongly about. It's very pure and coherent. And then when it's time to create it in the DAW, I get stuck and I lose that initial purity, that initial idea, because I'm distracted by the technical aspects of trying to create it. It would be really dope if we could just think and have it be created, closing that gap between ideation and materialization. Essentially, not losing the flow state, getting into it quickly, having endless ideas, and being able to create them on the spot, while also being open to the novelty and be inspired by the natural chaos that arises. I discovered a technique that I think is really going to help with this. The concept itself is quite simple. You have one instrument, a sampler, and one sample, a monolith, which I'll explain. The technique is 4 stages: ideation, sequencing, scrubbing, and post-processing. A monolith is a bunch of sounds consolidated into one large sample that you load into the sampler. It is the sonic aesthetic of the instrument. It's kind of like a wavetable. It's a sound that you load into something else and you play it. By using different positions, you get different effects, different movements. So let's build a monolith. I'm gonna go into my basses folder, start taking some one-shots. Take a few of these. And then let's use a bass stem. Here's one from Seraphim. Let's use some hyper growls, and let's take some basses from Paradise. Some Summer Days. This should be enough. Now, I'm just gonna go through them and tune them. This is optional, but I think having them all in the same key, it helps with the workflow. All right, so the next thing I'm gonna do once I tuned all those, I'm gonna just cut some of the big silences, and then I'm gonna put a compressor on here, and this is going to allow me to level everything out. So basically, I'm limiting the top and bottom bands, and then pushing a bunch of gain into it. Now I don't have to worry about the difference in level. So these are all the sounds that I want in this monolith. So I'm going to freeze this track. So now all the processing exists, and I can honestly just flatten it at this point. This is one sample. Now the next thing to do is to truncate all of the silence. And what I like to do is use Audacity for that. So to truncate all the silence, I'm gonna select all, go to Effect, Truncate Silence. I'm gonna export this. All right, now I got the monolith. Oh, this is gonna be so great to use. And for the next part, let's load up the sampler. You can also do this with other synths that have sampling capabilities, such as Serum and Faceplant. But for this demonstration, I'm just going to use the Ableton stock sampler. Here, let's make this a simpler, because I find that it actually is easier to route this way. Toss it in. I'm gonna set it to classic mode, and then I'm going to transpose it so that C is C. The key tracking on this filter off. Set the pitch bend range to ±12. And now, if I automate the start position, you get a lot of variation in sound selection. I'm gonna set this to one voice, and then I'm also going to enable the pitch envelope. And I find that this pitch envelope is useful for just punchier effects and also nudging the start position. Gives everything a really nice punchy attack. So I'm gonna make macros of this. In the filter, I can use velocity to adjust the filter amount. Get it really plucky at low velocities. This alone, just these 4 knobs, are definitely sufficient to get a lot of mileage out of this kind of sound. You can take it even a step further by adding some reverb. I'm gonna lay down a beat here. Let's do 145. Let's do a basic dubstep beat. Having a percussive section as a foundation is really conducive for ideating bass rhythms. I think good composition transcends instrumentation or sound design. Rhythm and progression are foundational, so starting by focusing on the rhythm and the progression will yield good results, as opposed to focusing on sound design. In this case, the sound design is already done, so we don't even have to think about that. That's the beauty of this method. Cool, I'm gonna use this skybreak loop. And now all I need to do is just hear what is in my head and sequence it out, or just tap it out. Or in this case, I can just sing it. That's what I'm hearing in my head. So, bow, bow, down, 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 bow, down, 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 down. That's the rhythm that I hear in my head. I hear it in E. So I'm going to transpose these down. I'm just starting with a simple 2-bar phrase. And now let's automate the start position. So, and this process right now that I'm about to be doing is the scrubbing portion. We ideated, I sequenced it. Now we're scrubbing through the monolith, finding sounds that resonate with the vibe of the idea. And some things can be out of tune. Right now I'm just focusing on sounds and how they work with the rhythm, but just by scrubbing with the start position. That's pretty cool. Now let's automate the pitch envelope and see if we can get anything that sounds really good. So the first note sounds really good with it pretty high. I'm going to change the start of this one. Oh, I like that zap. And you can hear when it comes to rhythmic or more percussive sounds, changing the pitch envelope will time shift it forward or backward in time, so you can align things that sound rhythmic better. I'm gonna add some reverb automation here. We can also transpose some octaves maybe. It's a lot of trial and error. You gotta be open to just experimenting. The more open you are to exploring and taking risks, the more you're gonna be rewarded with inspiration. That's really cool. Let's check out the filter envelope. Make some of these plucky by changing the velocity. Maybe something like this. We can even go harder. Throw in an OTT on here. Don't. And because I changed the start position of the notes themselves, automation start position stayed the same. So it just triggered different parts of the sample, and man, that sounds cool. Ooh, maybe make these an octave higher. Ooh! You can even take it a step further with something like Serum Effects. Band reject filter, modulating the width. And then the last bit, we could do something cool, add some motion to it, like, could just do volume, LFO. Ooh, that's a cool sound. I love that. Awesome. So let's see what happens if we duplicate it and just change the start position slightly of everything and see what that sounds like. But it's just a random sound generator now. Not to mention, if I just offset everything by just an eighth note, we can get a totally different groove going. There's so much cool stuff there, and now you have endless stuff to work with because you created something foundational upwards as opposed to trying to create sounds, matching them with what you hear in your head first. It's just a bottom-up approach, and I think it's much more stable that way and really conducive to workflow. Check out this one I made. Here's a Space Laces inspired one. Here's a Swung Housey one. I hope this video was inspiring to you. If you check the description, you'll find a free download link for the Monolith that I'm using in this video. Also down there, you'll find the School of Bass, which is my sound design masterclass. And in that, I show formatting and optimizing the Monolith, downloads of the simpler Serum and Phase Plant Hocketer patches, and the entire drop production uncut. So check out the School of Bass, link in the description. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Peace.